Hi everybody, it's Rick Merton here again from Permission. I'd like to welcome everybody to our webinar, 80% of your customers or consumers are mobile. Is your business ready? As I said, my name's Rick Merton and I'm the Managing Director of Permission. We're also lucky to be joined by Tina Marie Gully, who's the Director of Marketing for North America from Smart Focus. Today's webinar is divided into three parts. The first part is why is it all important? Why do we need to focus on mobile? The second section will look at how do you get ready for your business, ready for mobile and mobile marketing, and some tips and tricks and tools to use for that. And then for the third section, I'll hand over to Tina, who will look at where this is all going, what the future holds for us. First of all, if you can't hear me or you can't see my title screen, please let me know via the chat or questions section, and I'll see what we can do to address that. Secondly, although the session should go for just under half an hour, so we should have a few minutes for questions, feel free to ask questions at any point throughout the webinar, and my team and I will collate them all and we'll answer them at the very end of the webinar in the few minutes we've got at the end. We will be asking a couple of polls throughout the webinar as well, so it'd be great if you could participate and answer those polls so we get some good feedback and understand the experiences of the audience and what's going on in your day-to-day business. So just to kick it off, as we all know, for many years, technology has been driving significant change to businesses. In today's commercial world, the latest trend that's driving significant change is the shift in power. The power's changing from the company to the hands of the consumer. Customers today, as we all know, have much greater access to information. In fact, research shows that up to 90% of the decision journey is completed before the customer contacts the brand. Additionally, today, consumers can easily compare prices. This can be seen in retail stores when consumers are comparing prices with other stores or online. So we're seeing it in every store today where consumers are literally looking at a product in store, pulling out their mobile phones and then comparing that price or features of competitive products or the same product in competitive stores. The other change that's really driven by the internet is the globalization of our community. So no longer are we restricted by borders and challenges that we have to buy locally. We can now buy from anywhere in the world, and in most cases we can have the product delivered to us almost overnight depending on where it's come from. In this customer-owned world, we believe there are four key imperatives that a business needs to adapt to remain competitive. The first one of these is something we've all heard heaps about, and that's leveraging data and embracing data from your business perspective. This is really using the data we've got available within the business to make far better and smarter marketing and business decisions. The second one, which is rising, is the focus on customer experience. We're seeing a significant change in the way businesses are being structured, who's being employed, and where senior staff are being invested in around making sure the customer service is a key factor. We're seeing, from an Australian perspective, changes in the way call centres are being managed, where they're being managed, etc. And really, the frontline staff are the new growth in businesses today. The third imperative is around digital delivery and marketing that's driving the new businesses today. This is obviously ranging from simple things like digital marketing to e-commerce, and not just in a retail environment, but almost every business is moving its commercial trading to e-commerce rather than traditional methods. We're also seeing a significant trend, a meteoric rise in what are called social sharing businesses. And these are things like the Ubers of the world and the Airbnb that have really grown from nothing to, in some cases, like Airbnb, within 4 or 5 years is now the second largest retail business in the world and does not own any single bed. The final one, which is really the focus for today, is the role of the mobile and the growth of the mobile and maturity of the mobile consumer. Mobile has moved from a trend to being an intrinsic part of life today, and all businesses need to appreciate and integrate mobile to remain relevant. There is a number of stats around the role of the mobile, and I'll talk a few of them today, but there was an interesting statistic that I read recently that when millennials were surveyed, would they rather do away with their mobile phone or their car, 90% said they'd rather lose their car over their mobile phone. As you can see from the infographic that's on your screen now, in the last 5 years, the growth of mobile has been significant and is significantly impacting all aspects of business. As we'll hear from Tina later on in this webinar, the mobile change now is morphing into other areas as well, and we're seeing significant growth in wearable technology. To give you an example of that, in the second quarter of this year, there were 18 million wearable devices sold. The majority of those were either Fitbit or Apple Watches. But that 18 million represents a 223% growth in increase from 5.6 million units shipped in the same quarter last year. So obviously that growth is not going to be sustainable given the business or the category is very much in its infancy, but it shows you how critical the wearable devices are going to be in this market as well. But that's great, and it's really interesting, the global trends and what's changing in business, but on a day-to-day level, why should I care? Why is this important to us? So I briefly wanted to share 3 quick statistics with you that look at bringing these global trends into much more of a real world and integrate your mobile, and why you should integrate your mobile into your business. As you can see by these trends, the usage of impact of mobile devices is having a significant impact on the purchase decision. 80% of people are looking at your website and browsing using a mobile phone. 78% of those searches result in a local business purchase, and 74% of consumers search on a mobile before they make any purchase decision. So that goes to the point that I made earlier, that before a customer or consumer even reaches out to you, they've made most of the decision journey they wanted to go through. Now that I've set the landscape, and we understand the impact of mobile devices on today's business, I'd like to move to the second section of our webinar and how to get ready for mobile. But before I do that, I thought I'd quickly just ask our first poll question. And this question is your mobile site responsive? So I'll just launch that poll for you, and if you could just click on your screen and let us know, is your mobile responsive? Wow, that's interesting. So thanks for the people that have filled it out. I'll let you know that there's a couple more that are still going. 50% of people say their site's not mobile responsive, and 43% say it is mobile responsive. So that's interesting. So we're not quite seeing 50% market share of mobile responsive sites, so there's definitely work to be done in terms of getting people ready for that. So the first step in getting ready, the first step in understanding how to prepare for your mobile users is to find out if your site is mobile optimized. On the screen there, you're looking at Google's mobile-friendly test tool. And the screenshot of that tool is showing my site, the permission website, and that it thankfully passes Google's test. If a site fails this test, and I'll show an example of this later on, Google will give you the basic reasons why it failed. So besides using that simple testing solution, there's a whole lot of things you can do just to check how ready your site is from a mobile perspective, just by picking up and using your own devices. Here are a list of some simple things that we recommend checking from your own devices. First of all, does a page load quickly? The recommendation from Google is that it should load within 3 seconds. The next two are around, do you need to resize the page or change it, the scrolling to scroll and view content when you're accessing your content on your website? It's really important the content needs to be clearly visible and easy to access. The third area there is, are the links easy to click on and buttons too small? So it's really important that it's easy to be able to navigate around the website, consume the content, and click on any links. The last point that's important here is knowing how many people are visiting your website on a mobile device. So what sort of tracking and Google Analytics, as an example, are you using to understand the usage of your current site on your mobile, from your mobile devices? This is really important for two key reasons. One, if, like we heard in our poll, that people are going to need to rebuild their website, then understanding and building a business case to do that is going to be critical. Being able to demonstrate to senior management the number of people that are visiting your website on a regular basis using their mobile phone will be a key statistic that you can then use to drive that business case. The other reason is if you don't have the budget to potentially redo your whole website and want to look at specific areas, understanding which is the most common pages people are visiting from a mobile phone will help you identify and prioritize which parts of your website you should be looking at. I thought this would be a great time to ask another poll, and on this one, I'm interested to understand what people understand or use from a Google Analytics and tracking perspective on their website. And do you know the most popular page people are visiting when they're on your website using a mobile phone? So I just launched this poll, and if you could answer this one as well for us. So do you know the most popular page people visit on your website when they are using a mobile device? We've got a few votes coming in at the moment. I'll give it a couple of minutes or so more. Wow, so the stats are really interesting on this one. So far, approximately 70% of people don't know what their most visited page is on a mobile phone. So there's definitely lots of work to do around reporting and analytics. Thanks for that vote. I'll just close off that poll as well. So there are a number of key do's and don'ts that we recommend considering and looking at when you're starting to rebuild your site from a mobile perspective. I won't go through each of these today as they will be available in our resource section after the webinar. The key insights from these recommendations, though, is to ensure that the site is easy to use and the content is accessible on all platforms. Also, make sure you don't use technologies that will not work on all mobile devices. For example, flash or pop-ups are key aspects that won't specifically work on Apple devices. Further, we recommend designing for mobile first, as it points out in the top do. This approach means that you really consider how the site will appear on a mobile device when you're building the wireframes and then creating the final design. As an example of this, this is a site for Soul Republic, an audio brand that we recently launched for them in Australia. As you can see from this design, the mobile version replicates the design and the brand experience of the desktop version, and still provides, while still providing easy navigation and access to the content. You can see how we've translated the engaging images across the different platforms, and that whether you're viewing it on your PC, on a tablet, or a mobile, you can still easily access the design, get a strong feel for the brand, and consume all the content, and ultimately drive into purchase. Finally, to fully understand the current state of your website and what you need to do to convert your mobile audience, we recommend using some of the various analysis tools that are available in the market. These are both paid and free tools. These tools will help you prioritize your mobile website project. And so to give you an example of some of the tools that we regularly use, on your screen again is Google's mobile friendly test. And on this screen, you're seeing a good example, our website, and one that fails. So you can see the difference between the stats that you get and what you can focus on, and Google giving you direction on what you need to address to make your site compliant. Another tool we regularly use is Litmus, and this isn't the only tool like this, there are a number, but these tools allow you to check how your website and your emails will render on various devices and browsers. So it allows you to proof an email to it or open up your a page of HTML in their platform and then look at how that content is displayed on multiple devices within multiple clients as well. So you can look at, as you can see from the screen, we're looking at different notes and tablets, etc., for these versions as well. So it gives you a good understanding of what a different user will experience on the different platforms without you having to invest specifically in those platforms. A third set of tools that we regularly use is to test the speed. As I pointed out earlier, one of Google's key metrics is how quickly your site loads. There are two examples here that we use. One is Google's, the one on the right, which gives you a good overview of where your site is at and what you should address, while the one on the left, called GT Metrics, tools provide you a much more detailed analysis of your site. So again, these are tools that allow you to understand what's going on with your site from a mobile perspective and where you need to focus your attention on. Now that you understand why mobile is important and how to prepare for it, and what you need to do to become mobile ready, the last section of today's webinar is to understand really what's next. Where is this all going to go and what's the future hold? For this section, I'd like to hand the presentation over to Tina from Smart Focus. So let me just hand that over. Tina, over to you.
Great. Now, I'm going to touch on some areas that everyone wants to learn more about. The future of marketing, and in particular looking at contextualization, mobile payments, and proximity marketing. Now, what is contextualization? That's really the million-dollar question. And to sum it up, it's delivering a highly personalized and contextualized message at the right time. This is important since we don't want to treat a new customer the same way that we would a returning customer. And retailers and brands can contextualize a customer's journey by knowing when, where, and how their customers are most likely to engage with them next. Sounds easy, right? Well, it can be if you have an intelligent system that can act in real time. Now, you can create context-aware marketing using mobile to understand how much more about your customer than you could ever before. Now, email, web, social, and of course, push and proximity marketing now take place in majority of the cases on mobile, creating enough customer signals to enable great contextual marketing. Now, contextualization requires access to critical insight. This is implicit and explicit, such as offline, online browsing activity, interests, demographics, purchase transaction, location, the product or the brand that the customer is closest to at the moment within the store, current weather conditions, background information about his or her product's interest and sentiments shared. All this information can enable marketers to automatically deliver a highly contextual message that engages their buyer. Now, there are a lot of triggers that help make context-aware marketing happen, and these are all customer-driven. Now, you can look at what's happening in that customer's day, what time it is, what the weather is like, where they are, and that message should change as a result. And what's really important to, obviously I mentioned time and weather, but, when we're speaking about mobile, device and location is also paramount. Now I kind of want to just share some really quick tips on how you can kind of master contextualization. So first, what you really want to do is you want to automatically adapt your message in real time. So basically what that is ensuring that your message is as accurate as possible. You want your content to be immediately relevant to that customer and really make every email count. And then, as Rick was saying with regard to optimizing, your email and your site, you also, always want to do that with your regular emails as well, whether they're, push or, regular campaign. You just always want to optimize those emails. Something else that I don't have on here, which I should have, because we're talking about, the information of customers, we don't want to scare our customers. Having access to all this information, especially, location information can definitely be good, but, we definitely don't want to scare our customers by revealing too much too soon. Oops, sorry. And I meant to go into this example of how contextualized message works. And this is really highlighting our on-open communication. Now, what this means is that the content changes when the email is actually being open. Now, Smart Focus has developed this technology, and what it does is it actually adapts the moment that the message is open. So it doesn't matter, again, if this is a push message, if this is an email, and then also, you know, since we're talking about mobile and we live in a mobile world, and, you know, customers really have the power to interact with us the way that they want, this kind of capability is really important. So that means, as a marketer, if I'm sending out a communication and originally the weather was really nice and sunny, but then when the customer opens the email, you know, it's a rainy day, it's really foggy, my message can change automatically. The content will change automatically for what that day looks like. Now, this is really powerful for a marketer, for a brand, for a retailer. This means that your communication is always relevant, whether they're opening it up the day that you send it, or if they are opening up that communication 4 months down the road. Now I'm going to touch on another area that, you know, I like a lot: mobile payments. So we're all, you know, we all heard or hear, you know, how big the space is going to get. And so far, you know, most of us aren't leaving our wallets at home quite yet, but this market is really growing. I mean, we're seeing 29% of global online payments come from mobile devices. That's really powerful. And about 36% of this is coming from iPhone. And we're seeing companies, you know, Apple Pay, Android Pay, well, Apple, Android, and Samsung, rather, come out with their pay solutions to help support this continued growth. And recent trends are just predicting, you know, in particular, Gartner predicts that, you know, the growth in this area is only going to, you know, move up more, progress. So it's really important that as retailers, and those, you know, especially considering that consider themselves a premium brand, it's really important that you really think about how you're going to target this demographic, you know, as we get into the holiday season, as we get into 2006. This is going to be very paramount and could potentially make or break a retailer. The next area that I'm going to touch on, and Rick mentioned this earlier, is wearables. This is really exciting, you know. Now, what wearables is it basically intersects mobile, the Internet of Things, augmented reality, big data. And we've seen a lot of popularity between, you know, the smartwatches, the health monitors, the augmented reality glasses. And we're seeing shoppers, you know, really look at wearables as being like the future of retail. So, you know, we're definitely seeing a lot of early adopters here. But what I see, you know, going into 2016, especially the holiday season, we're going to see a lot of this trickle down to appeal to broader audiences and, you know, get more mainstream. And IDC predicts that, you know, by 2019, worldwide shipments of wearables will be 173.4 million units. Now, that is a growth rate of about nearly 23% over the next 5 years. So it's going to be really exciting to kind of see how the wearable technology evolves from where we are now into, you know, where we'll be a year or 2 years down the road. But, you know, how are retailers and brands thinking about wearables today? Now, we see this in a couple of ways. So we definitely have seen some tech collaborations with some fashion designers. You know, we have Tory Burch with Fitbit. We have DVF with Google Glass. And down the road, you know, in terms of actual usage, you know, we can see faster payments. We can see product information being sent directly to these devices. Or we could even see something like, you know, Google Glass being paired up with some type of facial recognition technology that would really help retailers target their key audience and really elevate that customer experience. And I know that sounds a little scary, but, you know, some retailers and some brands are actually doing, you know, something like that right now. Virgin Atlantic, actually, what they're doing is they're trialing kind of the Google Glass to enhance their concierge staff experience. So basically just improving their customer service experience, which is really kind of cool, can be kind of creepy depending on, how it's perceived to the customers. But, I'm really excited to kind of see more brands and retailers incorporate this into their marketing strategy going forward. So next, what I'm going to touch on is proximity marketing. So we already know that, the power of mobile marketing, and when, it's paired with beacon technology, it can just be the perfect addition to a comprehensive marketing strategy. Brands and retailers using beacon technology are able to connect the digital and in-store buying experiences of their consumers. Now, we're already seeing brands like Macy's, Starbucks, American Airlines heavily invest in this type of technology. And they're already seeing the benefits of proximity-based marketing, which is really good. But there are, however, some limitations that are associated with maybe, the traditional physical beacon. So some of those include, maintenance costs, poor battery life, inaccuracies, hardware failure. And this is a key reason why at Smart Focus we developed the virtual beacon technology. Now what this is, it's a responsive indoor mapping system that is extremely fast and highly accurate, and it allows you to pinpoint the position of a customer. So that means when a customer is anywhere in your store, he or she will receive a message containing an offer related to a nearby product or brand. Now, this technology allows brands to measure and measure their customers' behavior, not just in a promotional zone, but all throughout the store. This really gives retailers the power to really influence their shoppers' experience, which is the dream, right? Now, a recent report from Playcast indicates that 73% of consumers indicated that they would be more likely to purchase from a store that sent them a beacon-triggered content offer. Content and or offer. So this is more reason, why retailers should invest in proximity marketing with beacons going on into 2016. Now, we've been working in this space for some time now, and it's so great to hear so many cool use cases, for beacon technology. So, of course, we see it supporting mobile payments. Of course, creating custom deals. But an area that I'm really excited about, because I will admit I'm a bit of a shopper myself, are the loyalty programs. And, we're seeing a lot of our customers, just do a lot of cool, creative loyalty programs with proximity marketing and virtual beacons, which I can't delve in today because we don't have enough time. But, certainly if you guys want to learn more about it, feel free to reach out to me. It's something that's really exciting that we love talking about. Now, with that, Rick, I'm going to hand things back over to you.
Thanks for that, Tina. Let me just take back control. Great. Thanks for that, Tina. That's really interesting, and it's really great to see the perspective of where technology is changing and going to. That also brings us to the conclusion of today's webinar. So to everybody who's attended, I'd really like to thank you on behalf of both Tina and myself for joining, and hope you've found it interesting and useful for you. I'm just conscious that it is now on the dot of 11:30. We have had one or two questions, but given the time, I'll wrap it up, and then if people want to ask any more questions, they can put it to us. Otherwise, if people need to jump off, I understand that. As a next step, what would be great, and if you're interested in understanding more about this, you can download right now from Permission's resources section a infographic on the tips and tricks that we presented in the session today. There's also a white paper available in our resources section which takes you through that in more detail. The URL should be visible on your screen. Alternatively, feel free to call me on my numbers there, or you could email Tina if you had any questions specific on that. I can also help you out with Smart Focus, given that we're Australia's representative of Smart Focus. So once again, on behalf of Tina and myself, I'd like to thank everybody for attending and look forward to seeing you at one of our future webinars together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.